is Sharmila. Hello everyone. My name is Sharmila and I'm a motion graphic designer. Today we are going to learn how to do shape morphing along with cool liquid lines animation using two different techniques. Let us get started. Open After Effects, create a new composition 1080p. Create a text layer, type question mark with your favorite font. Here I used Arial rounded font. Align it to the center of the screen. Right click on this text layer, click on Create Shapes from Text Layer. Similarly, create a new text layer, type exclamation mark with same font, align it to the center and create shape from text layer. Now go to the path of question mark layer, create a keyframe, move 10 frames ahead. Go to the exclamatory mark layer, open path and create a keyframe there. Copy it and paste it here on the path of question mark layer. We can see the shape morphing, but they are not smooth. For a proper transition, we are going to change the first vertex point to the different vertex. For that, select the vertex that you want to set as a first vertex, right click. I am also changing the first vertex on the path of question mark to a corresponding vertex here on the top. Now I am giving it some ease by simply adjusting the curves. We apparently don't need these layers, so delete them. Create a shape layer, draw a path along the shape of question mark to all the way out of the screen. Increase the thickness of the stroke so that it entirely covers the shape of question mark. Make it a round capped line. Add trim path. Create start keyframe at the beginning of timeline to 100. Move ahead, say 20 frames and create another start keyframe to 0. Give a alpha matte to the question mark layer and so we can see how that is animating. Give the keyframe ease by clicking on F9. Now go to the graph editor, adjust the graph by adjusting ease. Cut the question mark layer at exactly when it started to change to exclamatory mark by clicking on Ctrl or Command Shift to D. Move these keyframes little bit ahead. Now we got this animation. I'm just cutting out this layer to make the animation look better. Create a new null layer. Parent it to the rest of the layers below. I'm going to make a subtle rotation of these shapes when they are morphing. Give the ease. Adjust the keyframes for timing. We need to work on the graph for easing it. Now let's animate some liquidy 2D lines. Create a new composition, liquid lines. Create a new solid. Give it MRCC Mercury effect. Now change the values. X and Y radius to 0, direction to 1, keep velocity to 1, birth rate to 8, longevity to 0.2, keep gravity to 1, change resistance to 5, blob birth size to 0.32 and blob depth size to 0. Change the light intensity to 0 in order to make our stroke look flat. Leave the rest as they were. Select the solid layer we had in our composition. Start drawing a random path on it using pen tool. Create a keyframe of this mask path and copy it. Now go to CC Mercury Effect Dropbox and look for the producer. Select it and press Ctrl or Command C to paste the keyframes. Now you can see how that's working. You can make the animation slow or fast by moving these keyframes. We can make the thickness of this more or less by changing the values. Now let's see the other way of making 2D liquid lines animation. Create a shape layer. Draw a path with pen tool. Add a trim path to this shape layer. At the beginning of the timeline, keyframe start and end to 0. Move the playhead to the desired length and create keyframes to 100 and 100. Now offset the keyframes. I want to make this a rounded cap. Go to the stroke line cap and select round cap. Now I want to make this line a little liquidy by adding roughen edges effect and turbulent displace effect. Change the values and see how you like it better. Now go back to the shape morph composition and apply these liquid lines animations. Create a new solid layer. Copy the CC Mercury effect from the previous example and paste it here to our new solid layer. Delete the keyframes it already had because we want this to animate differently. Now observe this carefully. Go to the shape layer we had previously, which we used to go along the question mark layer. Create a keyframe to its path, copy it and paste it to the producer of the solid layer. Move it to the beginning of the timeline and adjust the speed so that it coincides with the formation of the question mark layer. By the way, I'm changing the speeds by moving the keyframes by holding Alt and moving all the keyframes holding the last keyframe. Better we change the color of the solid for better visibility. Create a new shape layer. Draw a path like this. Make it round capped. Add trim paths. Keyframe start and end to 0. Move ahead, say 30 frames. Offset keyframes. Add roughen edges effect, adjust the speed. Duplicate this shape layer and adjust the path. Move it and change the color. Duplicate again for another path. Change the color. Adjust the path. What I want to do is to wipe away the exclamatory mark with those lines. For this, create a shape layer and rename as wipe off and draw an irregular path like this. Fill it. Keyframe the path here. Move ahead in the timeline. Move these vertices across the exclamatory mark. Move this wipe off layer on top of the question mark layer and give it an inverted alpha matte. Now create simple swish lines around the question mark using the same technique. Create a shape layer, draw a path, make it round capped, add trim path, keyframe start and end to 100, Move ahead and 100. Offset keyframe. Add roughen edge and turbulent displacement. To create another swish for coming back, duplicate this shape layer. Move it up and reverse the path. I am changing it to a different color. Let's make another swish lines. Duplicate the previous swish layer, move it down, change color. Now let's pre-compose all the layers except those swish layers. Duplicate it. Move the layer ahead in the timeline. Add saturation effect. Now you see what's happening. Repeat this process again. Change the saturation color. Let's make it a square composition with 1000 by 1000 width and height and trim the composition. Now I want to make some little lines on the question mark or exclamatory mark layers. Create a new shape layer. Draw a path along. Add roughen edges effect. Draw another shape layer and do similarly. Create another shape layer and draw a path. Copy paste roughen edges and the trim path keyframes to it. Do similarly to the dot below. Do similarly to the question mark. We are ready with the animation and now let's make it a GIF. For that, File, Export, Add to Render Queue, Output Module to PNG Sequence and Render. We get those PNGs saved here. Take them to Photoshop. Make sure the frame rate is the same as in the After Effects file. Export, save for web. Make the looping to forever. Here is the GIF we got. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you.